Welcome to Water Smart Drop by Drop Outdoor Water Conservation. I'm Leah Hubbard. I'm the Water Resource Specialist for the City of Prescott. So welcome. Thank you for attending. As you can see, there's snacks on the back table, or you're welcome to bring your lunch to this event. We meet on the third Wednesday of each month at the library and talk about a different topic. And we have a board back there with the different topics if you're interested in what's coming up in the future. Please silence your cell phones. We are videotaping this for our website, and so if we can avoid cell phones or anything like that, please do that. But don't be afraid of the camera. You don't need to duck when you go under it. Don't worry about it. So the purpose of Water Smart Drop by Drop is we wanted to educate the public on different water resources in our area. Arizona has a very complicated water resource regime and laws and all sorts of stuff, and so we wanted to talk about this, and we broke it down into individual parts to better experience what water resources is like here. I see a lot of new faces that I haven't seen before, so thanks for coming. Who is this their first time of coming to Drop by Drop? Just one, okay. The program format is we discuss some things for about 30 minutes. We have group questions for 10 minutes, and then we have a dispersed question period at the end if you want to talk to us individually. There's also fact sheets on the back table. If you didn't get one, please do. And if you could keep your questions to the topic of outdoor conservation, a lot of questions that come up are future topics, so we recommend that you come to that one if you have questions about it. Next month, we are going to be talking about water management in the city of Prescott. And then the following month, we're going to be talking about groundwater. So those are two good topics that are coming up. Sorry, next month is actually rainwater harvesting. I skipped one because I can't read. But rainwater harvesting, then water management, then groundwater. So the fact sheet summary for today. Water demand within Prescott increases substantially during the summer months, attributable primarily to outdoor water use or irrigation. Landscape consisting of native and low water use plant species save water, and reducing your outdoor water use will help you save money on your water bill as well. So how much water is used outside? I get this question quite frequently, especially in Prescott. Well, even a modest sized lawn can use way more water than you expect, like thousands of gallons. And reducing it is wise, but it's also better for the ecology and the economy of Prescott. This local example, and hopefully you can see it pretty well, this is a local HOA that submitted a rebate with our rebate program. They replaced 1,608 square feet of green turf, as you can see in this picture. And then they replaced it with some artificial turf because it was an HOA and there was a lot of dogs that wanted to use this area, so they felt that artificial turf was right for them. And they save an estimated 53,000 gallons annually from replacing that turf. Wow. All right, so this chart, I'm going to take a second to explain it. This is our 2018 pumping data. Up this axis is the volume in acre feet of what we pumped, and then along here is each month. This red line we got from taking the average of the winter months, because usually you're not watering outside during your winter months, so that's the best time to take kind of an average of what we would typically use indoors, and that's that average. And then anything that's above that is your outdoor water usage, usually. Of course, it fluctuates, but this is just a good way to estimate it. I was curious when I was putting this PowerPoint together, I wanted to know how this has changed over time. I wanted to know compared to our old pumping records, and in 2018. So I put this chart together, and we're gonna stay on here for just a minute. So the blue line to the left is 2014 to 2018's average for each month. The gray line is 1997 to 2000's average. And as you can see, they don't change very much. So there's actually two lines going across here. The 2014 to 2018 winter average was 422. And the 1997 to 2000 average was 423. So they're so similar that you can't tell the difference on the graph. But as you can see, they're very, very similar. So let's become citizen scientists for a second. The population of the city of Prescott in the year 2000 was 33,938. And in 2017, which was the most recent year I could get, was 42,731 according to the US Census population estimates. So our population increased 30% between these two time frames, but our pumping records still look very, very similar. Why do you think that is? And I want group participation. I want you to tell me why you think that is. More efficient use of the water? Councilman Good, what caused more efficient use of the water?
Well, we've got all these new people probably buying new fixtures and new appliances.
That's a big one. He said new fixtures, new appliances, new residents come to Prescott and they buy an older home and they might change out their toilets or a variety of things. Leslie?
I'd say we moved here in 1999 and I do believe quite a bit of turf has been removed since then.
Absolutely. The turf removal rebate has been extremely popular since 2006 was when that was initiated. And that's what I've heard from numerous people. There used to be a lot of lawns here and there wasn't. So while our population is increasing, our outdoor water usage might be decreasing. A lot of our grass areas are now in public parks and public spaces. You still see them around, but they're not as prevalent.
We had a full-time city rebate coordinator.
We did. We had a full-time water conservationist who ran the rebate program.
Tiered water rates.
I was waiting for that one. Tiered water rates. That went into effect in about 2006. If you were here last month, you saw the gallons per capita per day, where we see a steady incline since that happened. You use more water, you pay more money, and a lot of people don't want to pay more money, especially for outdoor water usage. And so that has caused the removal of a lot of lawns here. Turf lawns. The demographics have also changed. So I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, our typical household size was 2.4, I think, if I remember correctly. Now it's slowly been decreasing to 2.1. So we tend to have two-person households in Prescott. If you have a smaller household, you're likely not going to use as much water, you're not going to do as much laundry, and so that is another reason. But there could be a lot of reasons. These are just some of the ones I thought of, and obviously you thought of as well, but there could be a lot of things. Fixtures is probably a big part of it, a big, big part of it. So if we're using this data method, because there's all sorts of ways that you can use data in different capacities, outdoor water usage in Prescott has ranged from 23 to 24%. That is extremely low compared to most of the nation. For instance, ADWR themselves say that as much as 70% of residential water use is outdoors. So it says that off of their website. As we know, when we drive through Phoenix, there is a lot of lawns. There is a lot, even though they have xeriscaping in a lot of areas, there's still a lot of grassy areas. They do a lot of outdoor watering down there. A lot of pools. A lot of pools.
Some HOAs requirement.
Yeah, I could see that. A lot of HOAs think grass is pretty. My biggest pet peeve, I guess you could say, is when I drive past like this little spot of grass that's next to a street that no kid is ever going to sit in, no person is ever going to play in it. It's just this weird piece of grass. That's where I try to conserve in my mind of what can I replace that no one's ever going to use, you know? But there's always room for improvement. We talk about this a lot. Outdoor water usage. There doesn't need to be outdoor water usage. We live in the Central Highlands. If you plant native plants and if you have mature trees, most of your water usage is not necessary. So what can you do specifically? Well, the city of Prescott has enacted city codes to preserve our water for outdoor use. In 3-10-14, we have time of day watering restrictions. So between April and November of each year, you're only supposed to water from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. We also have 3-10-10, which is the prohibition against potable water flowing on streets. So if you have a sprinkler system that's just spraying more of the street than your lawn, that's against city code. This was put into effect a very long time ago to try to limit how much water we're just putting down the sewer system or the stormwater system. the low water use and native plant species. So a good guide, not the perfect guide, but a good guide is the Prescott Active Management Area Low Water Use Plant List. And I dare you to say that really fast a bunch of times. That's a good resource to use. The Cooperative Extension has really good resources on their website as well. And local landscape professionals and the nurseries, they know native plants pretty well around here because they want your plants to live. And so they don't want to sell you something that's not going to live very easily. Our city's conservation page has links to all of these different aspects. So if you need the cooperative extension or rainwater guides or anything like that, please utilize this website. It is very useful. So what else can you do? Check and maintain irrigation systems on a regular basis. We primarily have drip systems in Prescott, and drip systems have their flaws. They're the tiny little tubes that can crack over time, and so you want to make sure your drip system is not leaking. You want to check your zones one at a time. So if you check each zone and you let it go for an increment of time, like 15 minutes, and one zone uses way more water than your other zones, it's likely that you have a leak in that zone because we can't always see leaks that are underground. You also want to make sure you winterize your irrigation system each year. I don't know how many of you saw on certain streets around here when it snowed this winter, there was a lot of ice in the streets. There was a lot of ice in the streets because a lot of irrigation systems were blowing lines because it was freezing. And so a lot of people think it's hot enough in Prescott where it won't freeze, but it does freeze here. So we still want to winterize our landscaping and our indoor house as well. So I got this off of a website and I thought it was really funny. And so I adapted it for this presentation. 4 ways to detect an irrigation leak. Old Faithful. So if water shoots out of your irrigation system when it's running, obviously you have a leak. That one's pretty easy. Niagara Falls. So water flowing over your curb. If you are running your irrigation system and you have a little waterfall anywhere on your property, you're overwatering, or you have a broken head, or you have poor drainage. All things that you can easily fix. The Mississippi Delta. So sediment being deposited in an alluvial fan, just like a river system, means that you might have a broken irrigation head. So you see that in driveways sometimes where you can see this little alluvial fan that has been leaking because all of the topsoil is coming off, because too much water is coming off. And then Grand Canyon. So if erosion, ruts, or gullies start forming in your landscape, it's likely that water is coming from your irrigation system at too high of a speed. Of course, we have monsoons here, so you also want to get your drainage set up to where you can withstand big rainstorms and not get gullies and ruts. But it's important that if there's no monsoons and you have this, that you probably have an irrigation leak of some sort. What else can you do? Use hand sprayers. I brought a few hand sprayers. They're on the back table. If you don't have one, please take one. I am amazed at how many times I see people in my own neighborhood watering with their thumb over the hose. That does not save water because then your hose is just running as you're walking it to each plant. And so those nozzles are inexpensive and they're easy to use, and so they're way better to use. Also, and I looked for them, but I think I'm out of the hose repair kits. However, a lot of people just throw their hose away. Like if you get a hole in your hose, you don't have to throw it away. There's really simple ways to cut it and repair it. And so that is a good thing to do, even when you don't want this to be happening. I had a leak in my own hose recently and I didn't notice it, and I was getting water all over the place. And so you want to fix your hoses before you just replace it. Collecting rainwater. Like I said, next month is going to be rainwater harvesting, and there's 2 different ways to collect rainwater. There's the passive systems and the active systems. We've been seeing a lot of active systems around here lately. It's a big part of the rebate program. A lot of people enjoy putting these cisterns to water their gardens or to water so that they don't have to use municipal water on their landscape. But there's also passive systems that can slow water down on your property so it has time to infiltrate. So that is good for stormwater quality, that's good for our lakes, that's good for a lot of different things, and it's less maintenance. So if you don't want to have a rainwater harvesting cistern, you don't have to. What else can we do? Sweep your sidewalks. It feels weird to do that. I'm from Colorado where I don't see a lot of people sweep their sidewalks. So when I moved to Arizona, I thought that was a weird conservation tip. But I've realized now that it's actually a good one. You should sweep your sidewalks first. If you absolutely have to pressure wash your sidewalk or whatever, feel free to do that. I have a lot of people who think I guilt them into conservation, and it shouldn't be like that. If you need to do certain things, do it, but just be mindful of what you're doing. If you're washing off your sidewalk every day, it's probably time to buy a broom, right? Public parks have beautiful grass that is well taken care of. That's what I always recommend for people who really, really want that grass, is get a little tiny patch in your backyard or artificial turf. They make really nice artificial turf now. And then go and use public spaces. You know, the city has put these beautiful parks in place so that everyone has access to green spaces. And like I said, don't feel guilty about it. I have a big white dog who loves her kiddie pool in her backyard, and I will not get rid of that. I'm not perfect, and I will never be perfect with water conservation when it comes to my dog especially. And so I put this picture on here because it reminded me of my dog and her pool. But what I do is I try to be as conservative as I can. So I put that pool in the shade so that it maybe doesn't evaporate as much. And I try to do little mindful things to conserve more water outdoors. And then here's the big one that I get a lot, is use a car wash. It sounds weird. Why would you want to pay money to use a car wash? But especially in Prescott, where we recharge our effluent. So if you use a car wash, that water goes down our sewer system, we treat it, and we recharge the aquifer with it. And so even though it doesn't seem like it makes sense in your minds, it seems like if you wash your car out on the street, that the water is just going to return to nature where it belongs. We actually want you to use a car wash in Prescott. It also helps with pollutants. You're not getting soaps into our stormwater system. And so using a car wash is very beneficial in a lot of different ways. So I've mentioned the rebate program a couple times, and I do want to mention that we are presenting a new rebate program to council soon. And so keep your eye out for some changes to this program. But some things that are not changing because they are incredibly popular is rainwater harvesting. So you can still put cisterns on your house. You get 50 cents per gallon of storage on your water bill. So you have to be a City of Prescott customer to use this rebate program, but that includes people in Yavapai County or Chino Valley who are City of Prescott water users. Turf removal, also a big one. So if you're pulling out some turf that was installed before 2006, you can get a rebate for it. I have a lot of creative ways that I look for before pictures because I need before pictures to prove that it was a lawn at one point, but a lot of people let their lawn die before they replace it. And so I use Aerial and Zillow and pretty much anything I possibly can to get that before picture. And then you need to provide either before pictures if you have them, and then after pictures and any kind of receipts, even if you did the work yourself. Most of these, so there's leak repairs, but they're minimal. They're only $5 per leak. But if you do repair some of your drip system lines, that could be beneficial. Rotator spray head replacement. So if you are replacing those old heads that are leaking or high water use, you can get a rebate for that. And then drip system installation. If you are taking a complete above ground spray system and you are putting in a drip system, we'll give you $75 for it. So that is subject to change, but keep your eye on that. We support limiting outdoor water use. So if you're planning on doing some landscaping changes in your own yard, make sure you check out the rebate program before you do it. I'm going to play this video. So one thing that he mentioned is to turn off your irrigation system when it's raining. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. We're a society of ease, right? There is smart irrigation timers now that will measure weather patterns or soil moisture or different varieties of things, and they're EPA WaterSense approved. They're really awesome. So if you don't want to have to pay attention and to know these things, you can get one of those smart irrigation timers, and that will help a lot. I know there was a lot of turf in this video, but I thought that it was a very good resource to kind of use. Mulching is important. It's how I saved this little baby tree in my yard that I've been trying to grow for 2 years that I keep killing. But it's alive this year because it's been so moist, which is awesome. And so, mulching doing these things on an annual basis is a really good thing to protect your landscaping and to reduce your outdoor water use. So as we discussed, we do increase our demand outdoors in Prescott, but we are doing a pretty good job. We can always do better, but our outdoor water use is relatively minimal. Landscaping consisting of native and low water use plants. If you can, I recommend going to the Highland Center right now. Everything is in bloom. And so you can see what those native and low water use plants look like while they're blooming. I also went to the Arboretum down in Phoenix this last weekend. I had never been there. It was absolutely gorgeous. And so you can kind of see different areas of Arizona by going to places like that. And then, of course, reducing your outdoor water use reduces your tiered rate structure usage, which can save you a lot of money. Next time, we will have rainwater harvesting, and I'm happy to take any questions. Leslie?
This is not really a question, but the Citizens Water Advocacy Group took out some old landscaping at the Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist congregation. Was it 3 years ago? And planted low water use plants. And we just spruced up the plantings there again, and we have all the plants labeled with markers, so, and it looks really good right now.
Perfect.
So if people want to drop by there and get some ideas of plants,
Yep.
that's a good place. And also the Native Garden Landscaping Store. He's got a lot of stuff going there.
Is that the one on Montezuma?
On Montezuma,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we got our plants.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions? Yes.
Not so much a question as a complaint. I had a lot of grass taken out in either 2010 or 11.
Okay.
And I submitted the paperwork to the city with all the photographs and receipts in May. And got a letter back saying, sorry, the money for the year's all gone, send it to you. So I think it's disingenuous to advertise the program and not put in there that the money is apt to run out early.
So your timing just happened to be in the 1 year that we've ever run out of money in that program. And so that was when we had the full-time water conservationist. She was doing huge projects all through town. And that was the 1 year that we hit our max. And we have not hit it since then. And so we would prefer to run out of money. We would rather run out of money for giving rebates than not running out of money. And we have not in the last 7 or so years done that. And so, but it does have a little thing on the rebate form that says that it's subject to funding. And that's why you call. But I apologize for that. All right, if there's no other group questions, sorry, go ahead.
Hi, I know Arizona has alkaline soil. Can you give me a general sense of the pH level of the soil here in Prescott?
I absolutely cannot, because that is not my specialty. Orrin in the back is pretty good with native plants and soils, or the cooperative extension would also be better with soils than I personally am.
They can actually do soil testing and do your sampling.
See, she works there, she knows. Yeah. All right. If there's no other questions, like I said, Orrin Thomas is in the back, Leslie Grazer's at the table, and then I'm available for any questions if you don't want to ask as a group. So, thank you.